It is a big Saturday at Georgia Southern University, and there is a buzz on campus. Not just because it's homecoming, but because the Eagles are coming off a massive upset win against Arkansas State. Can South Alabama knock off Southern for the first time ever? We're about to find out. You're watching the Sun Belt Conference on ESPN. And with that, we say hello alongside Danny Waugh. I'm Greg Talbot. Thanks for being with us today here on ESPN3. Well, for the first time in a long time, Georgia Southern is finally the favorite headed into a conference game. But, Danny, if you hear what the South Alabama players were saying in their weekly press conference, this is a team that is out for blood, and they are out for revenge today.
Well, they're not happy after what happened last week. It took a step back against Appalachian State, losing that game 52-7. But they definitely have this game scheduled on their calendar because last year, Georgia Southern beat this team 52-0, Greg.
Well, let's take a look at the big matchup that we are watching tonight, and it's going to be on the outside. For South Alabama, they've got the best receiver in the conference on their team. That is Jamarius Way, 35 catches, 500 yards.
Yeah, and he could be a top NFL prospect here in a couple of months. Like you said, 35 catches, 500 yards, leads the conference. He's going to be option number one in the air this afternoon.
And the man, in all likelihood, lining up against him for most of this game, that's Monquavian Brinson. He's Georgia Southern's leading tackler. He's their best tackling cornerback, and he's going to need to be that today.
Well, if it wasn't for the secondary in that last week's game against Arkansas State, Logan Hunt wouldn't be Defensive Player of the Week for the Eagles. It could be Monquavian Brinson. He had a tremendous game against Arkansas State, had 4 pass breakups and over 10 tackles. He's looking to have a similar performance here this afternoon.
Well, Georgia Southern is coming off their biggest win as a program in years against Arkansas State, and as you already heard, South Alabama is out for blood today in the Nat Capitol. We have kickoff just minutes away on homecoming on ESPN3. A beautiful homecoming Saturday afternoon in Statesboro, Georgia. 90 degrees, a good crowd on hand. And we are happy to have you with us today on ESPN3 as South Alabama comes to Georgia Southern for their homecoming festivities. Danny, we have a good game going on here today, but to set the scene, let's take a look at the Sun Belt Conference standings.
Well, even though South Alabama is 1-4, they are 1-1 with a win over Texas State. Of course, a loss last week to Appalachian State. However, you know, it's all about the race of December 1st. Georgia Southern winning their first conference game against Arkansas State. Look to improve to 2-0 this afternoon.
So Georgia Southern, like you just said, coming off their biggest win in years, and Chad Lunsford is the hottest coach in the Sun Belt right now. A 3-1 start. The only loss came to Clemson. And Danny, just like last week, he spent this week at the fraternities and sororities, engaging the community, trying to get the kids to come out to this game.
Well, he said that last weekend's matchup against Arkansas State was a statement game. Tonight's game is an edge game against South Alabama. And you look at Steve Campbell for South Alabama, he's also in his first year as head coach.
And this kick away from Tyler Bass outside the back of the end zone. And we will see South Alabama on offense first. Georgia Southern won the coin toss and then deferred. Okay, so this South Alabama team is not one without talent. But it is a team, though, Danny, that really has struggled so far this year to execute on anything outside of big plays.
Yeah, this hasn't been the perfect start to their season so far. I mean, along with Appalachian State's game, other matchups, they've given up 50 points.
So their quarterback is Evan Orth, a senior out of Jacksonville, Florida. Hand off up the middle that time, gain of 2 or 3 yards to start this game, and already some extracurricular activity down on the 30-yard line as Ty Phillips made the tackle. And Orth, Danny, is a guy with such an interesting story. He came to South Alabama after redshirting in his first season in college at UAB in Birmingham. He was competing for the starting job headed into this season, and then after the first game, the quarterback he was competing with was arrested for public intoxication. He got to the keys to the car, and he has been terrific for them ever since, as that handoff is good for a gain of a couple yards, but it will bring up third down.
Well, the coach has said that Orth has a high character. He's a great student, and he's a guy that waited for his opportunity and also wanted to come into this 2018 season competing for the starting quarterback job. So he's been ready from the get-go, and now he's got a chance to prove himself.
So Orth out of the gun here for Georgia Southern, for South Alabama rather. They send Baker in motion. Up the middle they go. This is Moore, and he does have a first down for South Alabama. He's on his feet to the 40-yard line before the referees will eventually blow this one dead, as Sean Freeman was the first in there on the tackle.
Yeah, Freeman came in, got first contact on the running back. I believe it will be a first down for South Alabama.
Oh, by plenty. So Orth as a quarterback, we'll see him throw more this drive. One of the most efficient passers in the Sun Belt Conference, a 67% clip of this year, over 1,000 yards already, 6 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions.
And he can run the ball. Be careful. He is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in Jaguar history in rushing yards.
Collier Smith, the tight end in motion. They will look to throw on first down. They dump it off here to Moore. And the halfback barely gets back to the line of scrimmage as Jay Bowdry, the safety, flies in.
Orth happy he was able to let that one go in time. Ty Phillips putting a lot of pressure on him.
And they will send Kawan Baker off to the sideline. That's very surprising. He's been kind of their X factor this year, and we'll talk about him a lot throughout this game. Southern brings 4 on second down. Flag flies in, and tackled for a gain of 2 is Trey Minter as the junior running back gets his first touch on the day.
Flag on the play.
Illegal formation. Offense. 5 in the backfield. 5-yard penalty.
So 5 men in the backfield on that previous play. They'll send the Jaguars 5 yards back.
Yeah, illegal formation that time. So South Alabama looking a little bit out of sorts, I would say, to begin this game. But part of that, Danny, is to look at another interesting formation they're bringing out. They're clearly trying to catch Southern a little bit off guard as well. On second down, the sweep to Kawan Baker. Big hit delivered that time. Gain of, maybe 2 yards on the play as Josh Moon came in for another tackle.
And also to Marcio Reese, who the Eagles are happy to have back for this game, did not play against the Red Wolves last weekend.
So big third down coming up, and I would say this game, Danny, could very well be won on third down. Georgia Southern's different kind of third down conversion. They'll be more important when Southern's on offense, but for now, these teams are both exceptional and not great on third down in ways that benefit each other. 3rd and 12. Orth to the sideline, nearly intercepted by Kendall Vildor. And that'll bring up 4th down.
They were looking for Jordan McCray on that play, but great coverage by Vildor, junior from College Park, Georgia, forcing a 3 and out. Here you see great one-on-one coverage. And also had help from Josh Moon as well.
So Gavin Patterson back to kick this one away for South Alabama. And back to receive this one inside the 20 for Georgia Southern is Wesley Kennedy. Fair catch, 23-yard line. And that's where the Georgia Southern offense is going to take over for their first drive of the game. Okay, Danny, well, just like it has been since the very beginning of last season, this is an offense that belongs to their quarterback, Shai Werts. He's a second-year starter, but really, he's come into his own this season. And the impressive thing about him, in addition to being the quarterback, he's actually the number 2 rusher in the Sun Belt Conference.
Well, he's able to do it all, and that's what you have to do running an option offense like Werts is for Georgia Southern.
Maryland to begin this game. And they'll go play action. He's got Fields. Big first down and a gain of 20 yards on Southern's first play from scrimmage.
Well, I can tell you South Alabama was not expecting that, knowing that Georgia Southern is a primary run-first offense.
And in 3 of their 4 games so far, the first play of the game had been a dive to Wesley Fields. Big break in their usual MO.
And they have to cover Wesley Fields a lot more. He did have a receiving touchdown last week against Arkansas State.
On the second play from scrimmage for Southern, Monteo Garrett picks up a gain of 2 or 3 yards that time. Monteo, Southern's kind of change of pace back this year, about 160 yards, 3 touchdowns as well.
Well, he's mainly been getting the ball inside the red zone. You know, if you got to get the ball across for a touchdown, you can rely on Monteo Garrett for sure.
Call it about a gain of 1.5 yards on that play. Second down and a little more than 8 coming up. Kennedy in motion on the option. Shy's going to keep it himself. He does cross the 50. And that'll bring up a key third down as Buggs made the tackle. Okay, so here is where this game is going to be won and lost on this particular third down matchup. Georgia Southern's offense, Danny, is the second best on third down offense in the Sun Belt Conference. South Alabama's defense, though, is the best third down defense in the conference.
Okay, it's going to be a tough challenge here for the Eagles to convert. And also, it's the first time they're going up against a 4-2-5 defense.
Southern 44% on third down this year. Shy to throw. Dumps it off to Kennedy. And great closing speed as Tobias Moss brought him down. That'll bring up 4th.
Well, Moss read that play perfectly, able to find Wesley Kennedy, and the Eagles only got maybe a yard or 2. They'll bring out the punt team.
And I would say, Danny, pretty impressive first stand here by the South Alabama defense. They've been a little bit banged up. They've had some injuries, and really, they've given up a lot of big plays on defense. I would say if I were Steve Campbell and his staff, I'd be happy with that first series.
Oh, yeah, especially after the way things started in the first half against Appalachian State. Just things did not go their way for sure.
Trey Minter back to receive. Southern might have a shot at this one, but it bounces into the end zone, and that'll take us to our first break of this game. Both teams can't get any points on the board on their first drives. South Alabama gets it back on their own 20 after this on ESPN 3. No score to begin this game here in Statesboro, Georgia. 0-0. 8:52 to go in the first. And Danny, as South Alabama comes back out, let's take a look at their impact players.
Well, you see Kawan Baker on your screen. He has 8 total touchdowns on the year, 3 receiving, 5 rushing. So he definitely can be a slot back here in the South Alabama offense.
To begin their second drive up the middle, they go to Trey Minter. He's got a gain of about 2 yards. He is their leading rusher on the season, now about 175 yards on the year.
And on the defensive side for Georgia Southern, you have Logan Hunt, who was the Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Week, had 3 sacks in that win over Arkansas State. The Eagle defense sacked Justice Hanson 6 times in that win.
And no surprise, Hunt in there to make the tackle for Georgia Southern on that play, as if you cued him, buddy. On 2nd and 7. RPO over the middle, connects with Kawan Baker, their big playmaker. That ball is loose at the 46, and Georgia Southern fell on it. Sean Freeman knocked it loose, and it was recovered by Kendrick Duncan. Rather, Lane Ecton who came up with that. But what a break for Southern, Danny.
Well, you see here in the previous play, they had Baker across the middle. This is a great lick by the Eagles secondary, and Lane Ecton, great awareness, able to recover the football.
Okay, so it only took us a couple of minutes, but now it finally feels like we have our first big play of this game. And the Georgia Southern offense only got a second on the sideline to recover from their first drive, but they're coming back out now with a second chance at life. On first down, Wesley Fields to the ground, getting his first handoff of this game. Maybe picks up a yard that time, and Danny that now puts him at 300 yards rushing on the year. But a flag comes in.
Personal foul. Targeting. 22. Defense. Previous play is under further
So
review.
that's going to be targeting on Taji Stewart, the junior from Marietta, Georgia.
We're about to watch these teams walk off the field and take a couple minutes to review this play. And Danny, I will say this. This is now the fourth home game of the year for Georgia Southern. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have we seen a break in play every single Southern home game to review a targeting call?
Well, we've seen 2 targeting calls, the one last week from Obie Fortune and the one here just a moment ago. So, yes.
And there was the UMass game. So, yeah, I think we've seen
the UMass game. So
a
actually
reviewed.
3.
I think there might even been one against South Carolina State. So we've already at least seen some breaks in play to review this. So this might take a couple minutes. Speaking of targeting, you mentioned the Obie Fortune one. If you're a Georgia Southern fan, you might have been wondering, hey, what is the fate of wide receiver Obie Fortune last game? The fate is he will not be playing in the first half, although we might see him in the second.
Yeah, that's why Marcus Rogers, the freshman from Smyrna, Georgia, is starting at the wide receiver spot where we usually would see Obie Fortune. Here's another look at what happened. And, yeah, that's going to be targeting. He was already going down, and Stewart leaned in with the helmet.
I would say he used that as a weapon. Yep.
And you got to remember, the South Alabama defense already has a player out for the first half due to targeting from last week's game. DJ Daniels, the safety. Backup safety behind Tobias Moss.
Chad Lunsford on the near side talking to the referees for Georgia Southern. They're already moving the chains up to the opposing 31-yard line.
Is confirmed. Number 22.
And off goes Stewart. We have a first quarter ejection on South Alabama's part.
Georgia Southern.
So Jalen Sheffield will have to come in to replace Stewart. Here you see as Fields was going down, you already got 2 guys on him, and Sean Grayer and Bull Barge.
So the Southern offense out here for the new first down after the targeting call. Kennedy goes in motion. Here comes the option, and they pitch to Kennedy. Down to the 26-yard line, picks up about 5 yards on that play. Jalen Thompson on the tackle. And Wes Kennedy made his name last week, Danny. He had the winning touchdown, and now he leads the Sun Belt Conference in all-purpose yards with 127 a game.
And it was a beautiful reverse play to get the touchdown to give the Eagles the lead. Speaking of offensive coordinator Bob the Best, they're originally playing just to go get the field goal, but Kennedy had so much space in open field, he took it to the house.
On second down, here's Fields on the carry. Crosses the 25-yard line. That'll bring up third down and very short.
And you're already seeing the advantage of the 4-2-5 defense from South Alabama. With 4 down linemen and 2 linebackers, you can send those 2 linebackers forward and blitz 6, while the 2 safeties in the back play those linebacker positions. And you already see Wesley Fields had a hard time on that last run.
It's not usually a defense you see very much in college football.
No, usually you see a 4-3 or a 3-4, but the 4-2-5 is really interesting to see how the defense goes with, instead of 3 linebackers, going with 2, instead of having 3 safeties.
Third down and 2 for Southern. South Alabama brings all their linemen. Here comes Fields, diving forward to the 21. I'm not sure he got that one. It might be a couple inches short, and we will wait for the spot.
I believe he will be short of a yard.
Yeah, he is.
He ran into a brick wall.
Okay, so Georgia Southern has been unafraid of going for it on fourth down this year, and they will be unafraid again. They've gone for it 4 times, a 50% success rate. They are 2 for 4 on fourth down this year. 4th and inches. Fields dives forward. South Alabama says they stopped him. And they did. Southern now 2 for 5 on the season. They do not convert on fourth down, Danny.
Well, they're being more aggressive than they were last week, where they punted on their first 3 drives. You know, head coach Chad Lunsford talked about that mentality of going for it one more time, but This time they were stopped. Here's another look. Fields just couldn't get past that strong defensive line from the Jaguars.
And the Southern offensive line got so much amazing push in their game last week against Arkansas State, just not so much to begin this game today. On first down, this is Trey Minter, their leading rusher on the year. He's got a gain of 10 yards, and I believe he went head over heels for the first down.
And you got to be careful about Trey Minter. Even though he's already has 160 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, he can catch 2. He can be an option on the pass as well.
Yeah, Minter, the only running back in the history of South Alabama to make 20 catches in a season. He did that last year. Play action, sideline, intercepted. It's Monquavian Brinson. Oh, he hit the Y button, and he's down to the 5-yard line for Southern.
Well, Brinson was going one-on-one with Malik Stanley on the far side. And Orff tried to get the ball out quickly on a quick pass, but Brinson read it well and was able to get the interception. And then you got to see what the other players on the defense is able to do. First, jumps over a defender. Then, Jay Bowser with the block to give Brinson some more space.
Well, this has been a weird game so far. Missed fourth downs, interceptions, targeting calls. Southern trying to go up about 7 minutes in. Wirtz on the keeper. And there it goes. Georgia Southern is on the board. That is the 7th rushing. No, are they saying he was short by a half yard?
Yeah, I believe
One referee had his hands in the air. They're going to call this one inside the 1.
I believe his knees hit the ground right before he got into the end zone.
Let's take a look at this. One referee was about to put his arms in the air, and then they said no. That camera angle doesn't really show us, but we will take their word for it. Southern as a team at 10 for 12 scoring touchdowns in the red zone this year. Wirtz. That's his 7th rushing touchdown of the season, and Georgia Southern takes the lead at homecoming.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, you try again, and Wirtz pretty much an easy run to the end zone for the touchdown.
And you might be wondering, what was that boom? Well, for the 2nd week in a row, we do have the cannon back here at Paulson Stadium.
I think packs a lot of power.
And Tyler Bass puts it through, 7-0 Georgia Southern. What a weird start to this game, but Georgia Southern takes the lead. Rest of the first quarter is minutes away here on ESPN3. Well, Georgia Southern scores on their 2nd drive of the game. They got lucky. Monquavian Brinson interception put him down inside the 10. One more play put him inside the 5. And then Danny Scheiwertz took it all the way home.
And it was a very interesting couple of plays because first, South Alabama was moving down the field and Monquavian Brinson got the interception after Georgia Southern turned it over on downs.
So we've had a weird beginning to this game so far in Statesboro. Interceptions already, fumbles already, targeting ejection already. Eventful first 7 minutes of this one, Danny. I don't know what's in store for the rest.
Well, I know it's going to be exciting. You got to remember, South Alabama has this game circled on their calendar. They remember what happened last year when they lost 52-0 and gave up almost 600 yards on offense.
And really, that's kind of when on social media at least, what has set the scene. Tell us about what the South Alabama players said on Monday in their press conference.
Well, they were in a similar situation last year where they beat Arkansas State and Troy, and they were going in against Georgia Southern, and then they just got destroyed, losing 52-0. Well, Georgia Southern's kind of in the same boat. They beat Arkansas State. They're feeling good. They're 3-1, so they must be feeling well going into South Alabama. And the Jaguars, they're trying to bounce back after a not-so-great performance against the Mountaineers.
Yeah, 52-7 loss last week to App State. Not ideal. Up the middle again to Moore. Dives forward to the 33-yard line. He will still be short, bringing up another third down. USA, for what it's worth, on third down on offense, believe it or not, Danny, their defense is the best third down defense in the conference. They have the worst third down offense in the Sun Belt.
And Georgia Southern has one of the best third down defenses, stopping offenses about 40% of the time.
Third down and 2 coming up. Jamarius Way split out to the far side, their leading receiver. Stanley in motion. On third down to the ground, it's Trey Minter. He's got a first down, but flags fly in from the far side back to the 30.
Illegal formation offense. 5 in the backfield. 5-yard penalty.
So once again, another formation for South Alabama where they had 5 men in the backfield.
Yeah, that is already the second time we have seen that in the first quarter, and that's something, Danny, we hadn't seen all year.
This is very interesting to see overall because usually an offense is able to map out their first 10 plays on offense.
It's been a strange first quarter so far, and now all of a sudden South Alabama had it third down at about inside 2 yards. Turned that now into third down and 7. They'll run the same play. This is the sweep to Stanley, and it's not going to go anywhere. Short gain, bringing up another fourth down as Josh Moon made another tackle.
Quan Griffin laid a hit on the quarterback and got back there just enough time for the other defensive members to make a play.
And flags and whistles everywhere.
More than likely it's going to be a false start on South Alabama. David Flanord, redshirt freshman, may have jumped too quickly.
Offense, number 3, 5-yard penalty. Fourth down.
That's on Jamarius Way.
Yeah, Danny, you had that one pretty much exactly right, and that now turns into fourth down and even longer and even less room for error if there's a bad snap. That's good news for Southern because now Kennedy back to receive on his own 34-yard line. He's even closer to the end zone. He has not broken a kick or a punt for a touchdown yet this year, but everybody says it's coming. Southern brings the house. Kick into the air. Kennedy from inside the 40. This kid can make anybody miss. He's up across the 45-yard line to the 46. And on the other side of this break on ESPN3, Georgia Southern looking to go up more than a touchdown here on homecoming. Well, the man in the number 4 helmet has already put Georgia Southern on the board toward the end of the first quarter. It's 7-0. And with that last rushing touchdown, Danny Shy Werts leads the Sun Belt in rushing touchdowns.
Well, you have to be very cautious when you're covering Shy Werts and the rest of the Georgia Southern offense because there's multiple guys that can make big plays on the field.
So to begin a new drive, to take it just on their own side of the 50. Here's the option, and they'll pitch to Monteo Garrett. He's got big playmaking ability out of the option, and he picks up a gain of nearly 20 yards to start this drive.
A.J. DeShazer, the redshirt freshman from Lakeland, Florida, comes in to make the tackle. One of the pretty much one of the first big plays we've seen from Monteo Garrett, because like I said earlier, Greg, he's a guy that's been getting the ball when they're in the red zone.
He really is a guy who we expected to see a ton out of this year, but really, so far, the offense has really just revolved around Fields, Werts, and Kennedy. They'll turn and run the option. Fields with a good block. Werts on his feet, on his horse, and into the end zone. 2 first quarter rushing touchdowns for Shy Werts, and it's 13-0 Southern. But they're calling this one back to the 25. And this one is coming back.
Offense. Number 81, 10 yards, replay, first down.
Darian Anderson, the redshirt sophomore, will be called for holding. That's something you don't want to see for Chad Lunsford. They had a lot of problems last week in penalties. They're leading the conference with fewest penalties per game or in the season.
Well, overall, Georgia Southern actually entering last week's game was the third least penalized team in all of college football. And yet against Arkansas State, there was laundry everywhere. Bad called back touchdown call here for them. It almost seems like, Danny, they're starting to lose a little bit of what made them stand out.
And that hurt them as far as getting the offense moving in the first half of that game.
First and 10, the option. Another flag flying in from the backfield at the 38-yard line as Shy dives ahead for a gain of 6.
I believe it's going to be on Logan Wright. So wait the officials call.
Holding. Offense. 51.
It says it's going to be on Aaron Dowdell, the left guard, for holding. So once again, another penalty.
And as you listen to the crowd boo here at Paulson Stadium, I will say, Danny, this reminds me of what happened last week right before halftime in that Arkansas State game. They had been looking so good, and then all of a sudden they committed like 3 penalties in a row.
It's like they were going 2 steps forward, but the penalties were taking them 3 steps back.
So after what would have been a 13-0 ball game, Georgia Southern now staring down the barrel of first down and 20 yards as Matt LaRoche comes into the game. They call him Speedy. Not as an adjective, that's his nickname, Speedy LaRoche. And they'll give to him here on the new first down, 40-yard line, picks up about 5 yards.
We're seeing some of that burst of speed by LaRoche, able to get past the D-line and get a couple of yards.
And he's a guy that, Danny, a lot of Eagle fans are very high on, averaging 8.5 yards a carry as a true freshman.
Well, offensive coordinator Bob the Best said he wanted to get a lot more players involved in the offense, and Matt LaRoche is one of those guys.
True freshman out of Venice, Florida. A lot of Eagle fans say he looks like a young Nat Breida. On 2nd and 15, Shy fakes to him, looks downfield, and it is off the hands of Mark Mashad. 3rd down coming up.
That was great man coverage from Jaguars on that play. Gus Nave, the redshirt freshman from Scuba, Mississippi, had great coverage.
So once again, worth mentioning, Georgia Southern, the second best 3rd down team in the Sun Belt Conference, but 3rd down and 15 is a different story. Back to LaRoche on the ground, and he's met for a loss. That play went nowhere. In on the tackle that time, Bull Barge. And it's 4th down time after this commercial break on ESPN3 as that ends the first quarter. Southern up 7-0, but this lead is not secure. As Georgia Southern begins the second quarter by sending out their punt unit up 7-0. Danny, taking a look at the first quarter stats. These are evenly matched teams, only a 12 total yard difference, a difference of 1 first down. Really, the reason Chad Lunsford and Southern are ahead is because of the Monquavian Brinson touchdown and then the rushing touchdown. Really, this game pretty much should be tied.
Yeah, this has been an even stalemate between both teams. It seems like both programs trying to fill each other out in the first quarter. Now we'll see how each offense does as we move on here.
Tyler Bass to kick it away from just behind his 50. That one either a low line drive or nearly blocked. And good return coverage that time from Southern. And South Alabama will take this ball from inside the 10-yard line. Well, so far for the South Alabama offense, Danny, decent would be the right word. Evan Orth, 2 for 4 passing, 23 yards, but the interception he threw was really what put Southern in the position to take the lead.
Yeah, you take away that turnover, it's an even 0-0 ball game in the second. So Orth has to be careful when he's making these passes.
And so surprising to see Evan throw that interception. Entering today's game, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the Sun Belt, 67%, and only 2 picks on the year to 6 touchdowns. On first down from inside the 10, they give it to Minter, and he is met at the line of scrimmage by Tamarcio Reese. And Danny, what a big thing for Southern to have Tamarcio back in the lineup for the first time since Clemson.
You got to remember, he was a Sun Belt Conference Player of the Week member in Week 1 in the win over South Carolina State. Had 10 tackles in that game. And he's just happy to be back on the field.
Second down and 9, a gain of 1. Play action, Orth over the middle, intended for Kawan Baker. Pass falls incomplete, and that'll bring up third down. And Danny, let's keep talking briefly here about Tamarcio Reese. Having him back in the lineup for Southern, what makes him their best linebacker? What does he bring to this defense?
Well, awareness, power, and speed. You know, this 3-4 defense is more of a defense based on speed than power. You saw how quickly he was able to make the stop on the first down.
On third, pressure coming from the outside. That's a complete pass to Collier Smith. He dives ahead past the 24, first down. That is his second catch of the season. And Danny, Collier Smith, it's not his stats that made him stand out this year, but this week it was his mouth that made him stand out.
Well, he was fired up leading into this game at the press conference on Monday. He said that Georgia Southern is a good team, and he says you have to take it personal as a player and as a team this week when you prepare. You got to go in with some fight and leave on top.
Late flags flying in. I think that might be a targeting call as a helmet came in too. And we will wait to see what the referees say.
Illegal block in the back. 3. Offense. 10 yards. Replay. First down.
All right, illegal block in the back. They'll replay first down with a loss. And we'll say it again, Danny. We have seen an interception. We have seen a fumble. We have seen a targeting ejection. We've seen twice illegal formation penalties. This game just feels disjointed in the first half.
It feels more of a fight than a football game, Greg.
New first down and 18 yards. Minter to the outside, and the defense is there to wrap him up. Big second down coming. And it was Monquavian Brinson. You might know his name if you're just joining us because he already made the interception for Southern, but in addition to making the pick, Danny, he is their leading tackler on this season.
And you see right there, Trey Minter had nowhere to run, just ran into 4 different Eagle defenders on the stop.
No gain on the play, second down and 18. Orth joined to the backfield by Deontay Moore. Gotten 3 touches so far today. Orth to the air, dumps it off to Moore out of the backfield. Turns on the Jets to the 20-yard line. And that'll bring up about third down and 10.
A good look on the screenplay from South Alabama. On the defensive side, the Georgia Southern defensive linemen were shifted left. And they went in to try to sack Orth, but Orth able to get the ball out in time.
Orth was 20 for 33 last week against App State with the pick. Not his best game so far today, 4 for 7. And South Alabama 2 for 4 on fourth down. He stepped up in the pocket and is sacked. Georgia Southern comes up big. It's Raymond Johnson III ending the drive.
Johnson with a great stop inside. Orth just did not find the man. Didn't have much time in the pocket. Both Raymond Johnson and Randy Wade Jr. were in to make the tackle.
So they've got to be careful again, punting from inside the red zone. Good snap. Kennedy from inside the 40, 33. And here comes Kennedy past the 40-yard line, 11:32 to go as their offense will take over here in the second quarter. We'll take it to break here on ESPN 3. Georgia Southern up 7 and trying to go up more. All right, Georgia Southern will take over an offense for their first drive of the second quarter here on homecoming. A 7-0 lead on South Alabama, who Southern has never lost to since they joined the Sun Belt Conference. And they've got pretty decent field position after the punt, Danny, 42-yard line.
Well, now that both teams have felt each other out in the first quarter, the Eagles need to execute.
Kennedy goes in motion. Wirtz looking downfield in the open. It's Darian Anderson. Touchdown Southern. It's his first catch of the year and his first touchdown. Man, Danny, Bob DeBess is pulling out all the stops the last 2 weeks.
Well, the Eagles went with the traditional triple option, which left Darian Anderson wide open. Went right past Tobias Moss, and he saw open grass and took it to the end zone. And people forget, Shaw Wirtz can pass to his 4th touchdown pass of the year.
Yeah, Shy now 3 for 4 passing today, 81 yards and a touchdown as Bass puts it through. And what a great story Darian Anderson is too, by the way. You might not know his story. The guy who just made the touchdown catch and is making Chad Lunsford very happy, Danny. He's from Warner Robins. Coming out of high school, he was a commit to Georgia. He played high school football at Houston County with Jake Fromm. But when Mark Richt left the University of Georgia, he said, okay, that's not the staff I'm signing up to play with. So he decommitted, chose Georgia Southern instead, and now he's got an Eagle touchdown.
A great job by Anderson as well. Just had plenty of space on that play. Take another look. Just nobody was going to stop him.
What a great fake getting the South Alabama defense to bite like that, huh? And Southern's got a 14-point lead early on in the second quarter. Big one from Bass, line drive, and here it comes from the 5-yard line. Big hit delivered to Baker. He's up toward the 30-yard line. And it was Logan Wright who delivered the hit. Okay, so here's the thing about this South Alabama offense so far, Danny. They haven't looked bad. In fact, they've looked a lot better in certain aspects than Georgia Southern. Southern's offense is not converted on third down. South Alabama's offense, 2 for 5 on third down. They moved the ball decently. They just haven't been able to hit a home run.
Yeah, and this is going to be a task here for South Alabama to overcome adversity. Head coach Steve Campbell said that they handled adversity very well at certain points during the year. Well, this is going to be another test for them.
Baker in motion after returning the kick, and he's going to take it along the outside. Bounces ahead for a gain of 2 yards. And we haven't seen a lot today, Danny, out of Kawan Baker, but believe it or not, he is the leading scorer in the Sun Belt Conference. He's got 8 touchdowns in 5 games.
Yeah, you just saw there on the jet sweep. He can take it to the house and plays like that. So you have to keep a sharp eye on him, whether he's running or trying to make catches.
And that's the thing about the South Alabama offense. They might not be one of the most productive in the conference, but they do have 2 of the very best playmakers. Back to the ground, it's Minter. And the Southern defensive line holds strong. No gain on the play. And it's third down coming up. Chris Harris Jr. on the tackle, Danny. They're glad to have him back in the lineup, too.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting task here for Georgia Southern on the defensive side because they're kind of light in the linebackers position. A lot of guys got hurt. Todd Bradley got hurt in last week's game. Rashad Byrd out tonight as well. The one thing that Georgia Southern teaches is a next man up mentality.
Blitz coming for Orth on third down and 7 into coverage. That pass was intended for Jordan McCray, but there is a flag back in the line of scrimmage.
could be offsides.
Offside. Defense, number 41. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
And it will be Deshaun Cooper jumping the gun, which gave Evan Orth a free play.
Well, that is certainly going to help them out. 3rd down and 2, easier than 3rd down and 7. Like we said, South Alabama tonight, 2 for 5 on 3rd down. Stanley in motion. Orth on the keeper. 1st down. He's up to the 44-yard line, and a pretty decent gain on that play that takes us down inside 10 minutes before halftime.
And the Eagles sent 5 on that play, but great job by the offensive line to create space for Evan Orth to go up the middle and get the first.
South Alabama so far, 83 yards of offense. Georgia Southern 133. But South Alabama's been moving the ball pretty decently. Way in motion, play action, floated over the middle. That's a complete pass, and a gain of nearly 15 yards that time for South Alabama. It was hauled in by Deontay Moore out of the backfield.
Well, the Eagles sent Trey Allen in on the blitz, which left an opening for the wide receiver to make the catch.
So a new 1st down and 10. That's a complete pass. That one is hauled in by Cameron Taylor, his 2nd catch of the season. And Danny, when you're talking about kids in the Sun Belt Conference, it can be an awfully small world. Georgia Southern offered Cameron Taylor coming out of high school in Florida.
Well, you know, these players have a lot of decisions to make, and, you know, a lot of schools want to recruit these kids.
A couple other guys we'll be talking about throughout the course of this game had the choice between South Alabama and Georgia Southern. 2nd down and 5, back to Moore. He's got a 1st down, and Moore inside the 25. And South Alabama finally has their drive rolling for the first time tonight.
And on that play, Lane Ecton for the Eagles was pushing inside, but a great job by left tackle Troy Thingstad to give space for Moore. They get the 1st down.
Jamarius Way split to the top of your screen, the leading receiver in the conference. Instead, they go back to the ground 2 more, and there's nothing doing on that play as he was dragged down by Logan Hunt and Raymond Johnson. Another 2nd down and 10 coming up. As they send Baker back onto the field in the slot. Orth looking downfield, into the slot, off the hands of his tight end, Collier Smith. That was the 2nd time they've targeted him today. That one will fall down. 3rd down coming up.
Smith must be beating himself up for not making the catch after the strong comments he had on Monday in the press conference. You know, he wants to win this game more than anybody on this team. A lot of players remember last season's blowout.
He said coming to this game they were seeking revenge in a pretty strong way. They are 3 for 6 on 3rd down. What can they do on 3rd and 10? Pressure coming for Orth, steps up. That one knocked down, nearly intercepted. It was Kendrick Duncan who got his hands on it, and that'll bring up 4th down. And here comes the field goal team.
So South Alabama will finally have a chance to put some points on the board. Evan Orth had plenty of time in the pocket. And also, if he wanted to, he could have ran it himself as there was plenty of space in the middle of the field.
This is Gavin Patterson. This is a 42-yard attempt. That one sails just inside the left post. And with 7 minutes to go until halftime, South Alabama is finally on the board here at Georgia Southern. It's 14-3. Eagles coming back out on offense right after this. Alabama is finally on the board, and Danny, that was the very first time on offense on that last drive that they looked like they could compete today.
Yeah, it was a solid drive by the Jaguars to finally get points on the board. So now things have settled down, and both teams are able to execute.
And the kick. Received by Kennedy. After the 20-yard line they come. All right, the last Georgia Southern drive ended in a touchdown, a 58-yard connection from Shai Wertz to Darian Anderson. The first time they had hooked up on a reception as a quarterback and receiver at Georgia Southern. Not a bad way to get that relationship started.
Yeah, and if I'm South Alabama, I'm looking for a pass here because they've given up two big plays in two Georgia Southern drives.
25-yard line, here comes Georgia Southern. And you know Bob DeBess would like to put this team up a couple more scores before the break. Here comes Kennedy on the screen. Chased nearly out of bounds, but he's got the first down. Man, Danny, does that kid have fight.
Well, the defense played the pass well, but Wesley Kennedy's a guy that can make people miss. You've seen that all season through the first couple of games. Able to break from one defender and get the first.
Yeah, leads the conference in all-purpose yards per game at nearly 130. He is now over 150 yards receiving on the season. He's also rushed for 130. They put Kennedy in motion on first down. They'll run the option. Wertz pitches to Monteo Garrett. And the senior's got a gain of 10 yards. Monteo's getting a little more action than we have seen out of him recently. That is his now third carry of the game, and he's got 30 yards, Danny. He's averaging 10 a carry.
And he was able to get some extra yards on the block by Colby Ransom on the outside.
Eagle receivers doing an awfully good job of blocking. Instead, give him 9 yards on the play. Second down and 1 here. Second and short. They're going to let Monteo try and pick up the first down. He's spun down between the 47 and 48-yard line. We're going to have to wait for the spot on that one. And they're going to give it to him. First down, Southern.
Well, the Eagles have been able to get yards on the outside. You haven't really seen that much. They're trying to give it up the middle. But nonetheless, they get just enough.
A methodical marching offense for Southern on this drive compared to the last one where they scored on their first play of it. Kennedy in the motion man. Coming the other way. And Wertz looks downfield and said he'll throw it away. He was hoping Ellis Richardson was open, but he was on lockdown coverage there by Malcolm Buggs.
Well, Chasen Milner, had Shai Wertz the entire time, chasing him before Wertz threw it away.
And Shai, regardless of that play, has still been awfully efficient today. He is now 4 for 6 passing, just shy of 100 yards, and of course the touchdown.
I don't think Wertz has thrown more than 10 passes in a game yet this year.
Please
we
reset the
could
clock.
see that.
5:03.
We could see that in this game.
Thank you.
So 5:03 reset on the clock here. Second down coming up. Out of the Maryland I. Wertz on the keeper, pitches to Kennedy. And another first down as a man goes flying into the chain gang. They'll still move the chains.
And we know Shai Wertz has been the primary runner for Georgia Southern, but you're seeing him get other guys involved early in the half.
You know, Danny, after week 1 or week 2, you and I were talking to the Georgia Southern coaches, and across the board, they pretty much said, we love what Shine does, but we wish he would try to do less himself. You've seen him make a concerted effort to involve more of his running backs. The option again, pitches to Garrett. Flag comes in from the backfield. Monteo to the 44. That's a gain of 6. But this one might be coming back. And Monteo appears to have hurt his head at that time. He's holding on to his helmet. And we will take a quick break here on ESPN3 while we find out what the referees are calling for and if Monteo's okay right after this.
Foul. Roughing the passer, defense.
Well, this was the play that took us into break here on ESPN3. Monteo Garrett took the handoff, but it was a roughing the passer call on South Alabama. So now the Eagles take this ball from the 19-yard line on a new first down. Wirtz hands off up the middle to the 15. That is Wesley Fields with a gain of about 4 yards. And he's now got 10 yards rushing on the day.
And Greg, you talk about Georgia Southern leading the conference in multiple statistics. They are one of the top teams in red zone offense as well in the conference.
They certainly are. They are 11 for 13 on touchdowns and 12 for 13 on scoring trips. Second down and 8. Ellis Richardson motions. Wirtz pitches to Fields. He is chased down for a gain of 5 yards, bringing up third down and short. In Southern, Danny, a big play here, although they have tended to be throughout the season one of the best third down offenses in the conference. Second overall in the conference this year, 44% clip. So far today, they are 0 for 3 on third down.
But they definitely want to convert here because I don't see them settling for a field goal if it results in a fourth down.
They're going to call this
regardless.
Yeah, they're going to call this one third down and 4. Mashad split to the top of your screen. Ransom to the bottom. On third down, here comes the option. The pitch to Fields. Trying to get to the corner, and he's not going to get there. Fourth down coming up. Great closing speed by Tyree Vines.
Well, they were hoping to get at least a yard or two, but now they're sent back, and they're going to send Tyler Bass out to kick the field goal, and he has been perfect so far in the year, 3 for 3.
Not surprising to see them do this. Chad Lunsford values points a lot when it comes to conference games. We know that. And a 32-yard attempt here for Bass would make it a 2-touchdown game again. That one is up and through, 17-3 with 2:15 until halftime, Danny. Chad Lunsford's got to take it.
And you take what you can get there. And it's interesting to see him go for the field goal on fourth down instead of going for it, because throughout practice over the last couple of weeks, the Eagle offense worked on a drill called 2nd and 8, and they practice it on different portions of the field. It doesn't matter if they're on their own, if they're in the red zone, if they're close, in midfield. They always have a 2nd and 8 drill, meaning that they just start when it's 2nd and 8, no matter if they get yards or lose yards. They put them in different situations on 3rd and 4th down to see how they're able to execute.
And when we talked to Steve Campbell earlier this week, Danny, he said, well, when we asked him how he's feeling about the season so far, he said, well, we're not happy, but that it's a marathon and not a sprint. but I think he'd be even more unhappy if his team goes down in the first half without scoring a touchdown.
Well, you have to remember, this is a brand new South Alabama coaching staff, along with head coach Steve Campbell, offensive coordinator Kenny Edenfield, and defensive coordinator Greg Stewart, all in their first years with the program. And yes, Campbell and Stewart may have worked together back in Central Arkansas, but it's a new team. You got to change things up.
I want to fly out of the back of the end zone from Tyler Bass. So South Alabama will take it now from the 25-yard line. So, Danny, we have seen Trey Minter get involved. We have seen Deontay Moore get involved. We have seen Kawan Baker involved. Where is Jamarius Way?
Well, I know he's out there on the field, but you've seen throughout this offense for South Alabama, they just have not been able to connect to him yet.
He is the leading receiver in the Sun Belt Conference and the 11th leading receiver in the country in receiving yards. There he is. They just have not connected with him yet through the air for a pass. Orth connects, though, with Malik Stanley. Big gain past the 50-yard line, more than 20 yards. And interesting, Danny, this is the part of the next guy up mentality that South Alabama has. Normally, that is the receiver spot of Sam Harris, but he was injured. He did not travel for this game. Malik Stanley in his place and makes a big play.
And also, Stanley was just reinstated to the team after violating team rules prior to the season. But he's been involved a lot here in the first half.
Orth over the middle again on first down. He's got Baker for a first down. Past the 25-yard line, another gain with a second consecutive play of more than 20 yards.
And you're seeing Orth go across the middle instead of going to the receivers on the outside. You got to remember, the first South Alabama possession, Orth threw an interception trying to go to the outside.
Not to mention, Georgia Southern's weakness this year on defense, frankly, has been defending passes over the middle in the seam, Danny. On first down, coming back the other way. That's complete to McCray, but he's dropped for a loss.
Right there to meet him was Kendall Vildor, the junior. They tried to execute the wide receiver screen, but the Eagles read it perfectly.
And they're going to burn a timeout.
South Alabama. First charge timeout. 30 seconds.
Not surprising to see him take it here, Danny, and this would be a heck of a stop for Georgia Southern if you can hold him to 3.
If you can hold them here and even limit South Alabama to a field goal for that matter, you go in with a 2-touchdown lead at halftime. This has really been an even match. The score may say otherwise, but that's mainly because of the interception and the fumble recovery that Georgia Southern was able to get on defense.
And as we head into halftime, these will change these statistics, but Danny, you mentioned even matchup. 178 total yards for Southern, 170 total yards for South Alabama, 8 first downs for each team. Really, it's that Southern was able to break 2 big plays. Easy as that.
Yeah.
Second down and 15 after the loss. Orth, he's got his running back Minter out of the backfield. Turns that into a gain of 6 yards as he gets out of bounds.
Minter having space in that play. 4 wide receivers on the play for South Alabama, and you had 3 of them running the opposite way, leaving open ground for Minter to make the catch.
So 3rd down and 9 coming up. South Alabama 3 for 7 today on 3rd down. And the crowd getting louder and pulsing. Orth looking downfield for Way to the sideline. That's a complete pass, but he did not get out of bounds. He found Stanley for the second time this drive. That will bring up 4th down.
Once again, Orth going in the middle of the field. You had 4 wide receivers, and 3 of them were heading towards the end zone, so there's plenty of space for Stanley to go across. Well, with it being 4th down, you can see one of 2 things. You see South Alabama try to go for it, or they can play it safe and get the field goal. They have gone for it on 4th down already in the first half, but they were unsuccessful, and that resulted into a Georgia Southern touchdown with Shy Worth straight to Darian Anderson.
And not only have they already gone for it on 4th down today, Danny, they've gone for it a lot this year, including the time they failed already today They are 7 for 14. They have gone for it on fourth more than any other team in the Sun Belt this year. So very daring.
Well, knowing their position right now in the season with a 1-4 record and knowing how important this game means to the players may try to push to go for it on fourth down. Maybe even have Evan Orth try to hard count and have the Eagle defensive line cross the line of scrimmage.
All right, let's see what they do. I see Evan Orth. Here comes the offense on fourth down and 3. They are 50% this year, 7 for 14. Southern brings the house. Orth's got to get rid of it. And there's a big catch for Jamarius Way, the leading receiver in the Sun Belt Conference. Big time for him to come up with his first catch, Danny.
Well, finally you see him involved in this offense. And you saw Georgia Southern bringing pressure up the middle, sending just about everybody. Orth almost got taken down. A great play made by Way.
1st and 10. Orth steps up and will run. Quarterback to the 10 or the 11-yard line. Tackle made by Kendall Vildor. Clock will run at 35.
South Alabama has 1 timeout left, so they may try to get one more play in.
They're waiting for it so they can call it if they need to kick a field goal.
Right.
2nd down and 9. Evan looking downfield. He might tuck and run this. Fires it to the end zone. It is hauled in by South Alabama. Touchdown. It's Malik Stanley, the backup.
And how about that for Stanley? Sam Harris is out, doesn't make the team flight to Statesboro. He gets reinstated, and then his first game back, he's able to score. Orth had plenty of time, and he went all the way in the back of the end zone. And a great play made by Stanley, getting past Jay Baldry and make the catch.
Holy cow, what a grab, and to get his 1 foot down.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
Okay, I didn't want to say anything until the referees had said something. We'll take a look at that exact same camera angle from the end zone. Part of me wondered, Danny, if his entire foot was not in bounds.
It was the left foot that you're implying, Greg. On that replay, it looked like it was in bounds, but the officials want to review it just to be sure.
Now, I only saw it briefly on the replay. Let's watch his foot.
First of all, an incredible play. Good pass, great catch, and
I think I saw his foot come down partially on the white.
His heel may have landed outside. It's a close call. You know, it could go either way, to be honest.
Now, you've got to imagine the replay the referees are looking at is the one you just saw at home from the end zone. And on that one, that might be enough evidence.
It's going to be close. But nonetheless, this is overturned. South Alabama still has 11 seconds to try and score again. And they still have 1 timeout remaining. So honestly, if they wanted to, if it gets overturned, they could try and run it. If things don't work, call the timeout, and then you can make a decision from there.
After further review, the pass is incomplete. It will be 3rd and 9 at the 11.5-yard line. The clock will start on the snap.
So the referees saw what we saw up here in the booth, Danny, what you saw watching at home, which is that his heel came down on the white.
We're not able to see it well from that angle. From the previous angle that we saw behind the end zone, you could tell that he was just out of bounds.
So it's 3rd down again, 3rd down and 9 for South Alabama. Trying to re-narrow the lead after the touchdown was taken away. This is Way. What coverage by Monquavian Brinson. 4th down coming up. And Danny, at the beginning of the broadcast, we said that is the matchup. Brinson against Way, and Monquavian Brinson gets the best that time.
He knew what he had to do going one-on-one against Jamarius Way. And the coaches said about Way that you might need to put 2 guys on him. But Brinson does a tremendous job with the deflection. And South Alabama's going to have to take the field goal.
And here comes Gavin Patterson. They'll try to make this 17-6 heading into halftime. This is from 28. Patterson puts it right through, and that will wind out the clock on the first half. Well, it was a weird first half. It was strange. It was fun. A couple touchdowns called back, couple turnovers, and the second half should be even more interesting here in the Sun Belt Conference. It's Georgia Southern 17, South Alabama 6, and halftime is just minutes away. All right, the second half just minutes away here on ESPN3. Georgia Southern up 17-6 at the break. Let's take a look at some first half highlights. And Danny, this game got weird right away.
Yeah, it started out right on the first possession for South Alabama. Lane Ecton with a fumble recovery that put the Eagles in a great position, but couldn't convert. But then Monquavian Brinson got the interception, which set up the Shywards touchdown.
And Shywards had a heck of a first half for Georgia Southern. 4 for 6 through the air, 93 yards passing, and he ran this one in for the rushing touchdown to put him up a score.
Incredible. The redshirt sophomore already leading the Sun Belt Conference in touchdowns on the ground.
And then, after the rushing touchdown, as Shy went to the air with an unbelievable fake on the field, he looked downfield, connected with Darian Anderson, 58 yards.
It was pretty much a straight go route for Anderson, who went straight to the house. Nobody caught him. A beautiful pass made by Shywards.
And then right before the end of the first half, field goal good from South Alabama, so the score is 17-6. Danny, your first half thoughts, buddy?
Well, it's, you look at the total yards for each team, it's been evenly right here. Total yards, 187 for South Alabama, 178 for Georgia Southern, but it's the turnovers that resulted in Georgia Southern taking the lead. So if South Alabama can limit the amount of turnovers in the second half and get some points on the board, they can make this game close heading into the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, and truly the fact of the matter is this is basically a tie game except for 2 big plays that Georgia Southern was able to break. All right, we are just minutes away from the second half right here on ESPN3. Eagles up 17-6. Second Sun Belt Conference game for both teams here in 2018, but at the break of this one, Georgia Southern on top of South Alabama 17-6. And Danny, it's been an interesting weekend around the Sun Belt Conference. Earlier in the week, we saw Troy at home against Georgia State, had no trouble with the Panthers, 37-10 the final there, but a couple other games in action today as well.
Yeah, along with Southern and South Alabama, Louisiana Monroe facing Ole Miss. They're down 35-7. You'll see Texas State face Louisiana tonight at 7 p.m. But going to that Troy match, they're already 3-0 in the Sun Belt Conference, and they're a heavy favorite to advance to the championship game on December 1st. Meanwhile, in the Western Division, it's a little bit different. South Alabama's 1-1, and the other 4 teams have not won a game yet in the conference.
This is the very first year that the Sun Belt Conference is split into 2 divisions where we're looking at a conference championship game, but I'll tell you, Georgia Southern really woke a lot of folks in the Sun Belt up last week when they knocked down Arkansas State, Danny.
Well, a few weeks ago, a couple of ESPN insiders said that Georgia Southern can defeat any team that they go up against, and besides Clemson, which in that game, throughout 3 quarters, they were down 24-7. That's not bad going up against one of the top teams in the nation.
And the second half is underway in Statesboro. High kick, 15-yard line, and for some reason they'll take a fair catch for Kennedy there on the 15. So not great field position for Southern. Wonder exactly why he did that, but let's take a look at this offense, Danny, for Southern as they come out to begin the second half. Shywards very efficient as always at quarterback, 4 for 6 passing, just shy of 100 yards, 1 interception. He has still not thrown, rather 1 touchdown. He has not thrown an interception yet this year.
And before I answer that question, Greg, you're asking why they decided to call a fair catch.
To the 25.
Yeah, so if it's inside the 15 or
You're right.
inside the 25, they start with possession at the 25-yard line.
Forgot the new rule. That's on me. All right, so 1st and 10 for Southern. They'll run the option on the first play of the second half. It's Monteo Garrett. He's got a gain of 15 yards as he's chased out of bounds at the 40-yard line. He is now over 50 yards rushing on today. And Danny, this is the best Monteo has looked all season.
You're seeing him more involved here today than you have in the previous couple of games of the year. And that's something that South Alabama has to limit. You can't allow Georgia Southern to have too many big plays on offense.
And with that last rush, Monteo Garrett over 200 rushing yards on the year. Jaguars bring 5. Wirtz dumps it off to Devarius Bardner. He pinballs ahead for a short gain, maybe 4 yards as he dove ahead and picked up 5. Danny, that was his first catch of the season.
And a smart play there by the Eagles. South Alabama was sending 5 on the blitz. Got a guy right in the middle, crowding up the inside. So instead to go for a wide receiver screen and get a couple of yards. And once again, another member of the offense for Georgia Southern getting involved here this afternoon.
Yeah, already 2 receivers making catches who haven't touched the ball yet this year. Wirtz pitches to Fields. Doesn't need a lot of space, and he crosses the 50 across the 45 for a first down.
You could tell there that Fields was thinking end zone on that play, but got caught up and sent to the ground. You talk about players involved on the Georgia Southern offense. A reminder, Greg, wide receiver Obi Fortune is eligible to play, serving his first half suspension after being called for the targeting foul last week against the Red Wolves.
Yeah, but he is not in on this drive or this formation yet. I wonder if we'll see him later on in the second half. Kennedy in motion. On first down, here comes the option, and Kennedy will take it. Dives ahead, gain of 7, maybe 8 yards that time. And man, Danny, did we see Wesley everywhere in the first half. Big catches, big blocks, big runs, Mr. Efficient, Mr. Everything.
Yeah, he is the X factor. That's why he's one of the impact players in today's game. He's been the impact player just about every game for Georgia Southern.
Kennedy so far, 2 rushes, 2 catches, kicks and punt returns as well. 2nd and 2, option, Fields, first down Southern.
Fields tried to leap over a defender and got caught up. Shoestring tackle as he went out of bounds.
And man, did he have an unbelievable game last week against Arkansas State. He went off. He was the reason they won. 160 yards, all-purpose touchdown. He did everything.
Yeah, don't forget the 61-yard reception he had in that win.
All right, so a new first down and 10 for Southern. Darren Anderson split out to the bottom of your screen. He's already got a touchdown catch. Monteo Garrett again. 29-yard line that time, decent gain.
And expect Georgia Southern to switch it up on the next play. That's 3 plays in a row that they've gone to the option on the right side, trying to gain a couple of yards.
Gain of 4 that time, 2nd down and 6 coming up. And again, there's these moderate gains, 4, 5 yards on first down that Chad Lunsford loves because it gives you so many possibilities to work with on 2nd or 3rd and short. Out of the pistol. Kennedy, the motion man. Up the middle they go to Matt LaRoche. Brought down by the defensive line at the 26-yard line. It was Sean Brown who dragged him down to bring up 3rd down and 2.
And once again, we see LaRoche more involved in the offense. Offensive coordinator Bob DeBest talked about that. Wanting to see different guys get an opportunity, and we've definitely seen that today.
Yeah, Southern's been very diversified in their offense. 5 players have run the ball. 4 different receivers have made catches as well. Jaguars bring 7. And the pitch to Fields. He's got blocking and a first down inside the 10. And Fields will score. That's his third rushing touchdown of the season, and Georgia Southern is way out in front.
And that touchdown is not made possible without blocking by the center, Curtis Rainey, and also the wide receiver, Darian Anderson, giving plenty of space for Wesley Field to take it to the house.
Pass to make it 24-6. And he's got it. And Georgia Southern is beginning to pull away here early in the second half on ESPN3. Chad Lunsford is a happy man, and it's 24-6. Well, it is a good day to be a Georgia Southern Eagles so far in Statesboro. 24-6 the score after Southern strikes on their first drive of the second half. It only took them 4.5 minutes. And Danny, South Alabama got wrecked last week by App State 52-7, and it is shaping up to be another big differential today.
Yeah, well, we'll see what they can do here with their first possession of the second half.
Minter back to receive for the Jaguars. Won't get a chance to run it back as it flies out of the back of the end zone.
And keep this in mind as well, Greg. South Alabama has given up 30 points or more in every game this season. They lost a close one to Louisiana Tech, 30-26. Got blown out by Oklahoma State, 55-13. They did win against Texas State, but they gave up 31 points, 141-21, and then giving up 52 straight points in the last 2 weeks to Memphis and Appalachian State.
Their offense has a bunch of weapons. The defense has needed some help. Minter takes the carry to begin their second half push. Turns that into a gain of about 2 yards, and Jay Boundary came in there for the tackle.
And you might see Evan Orr try to pass more in the second half as they are down by 18. You want to move the ball down the field and try to get points on the board as quick as possible.
Yeah, Evan in the first half, 12 for 19 passing, 123 yards, and the pick. Back to the ground to Minter, and nothing doing that time as Ty Phillips yanked him down at the line of scrimmage. The defensive line, Danny, this is 2 games in a row. They've been great.
And you got to give credit to Victor Cabral, the defensive line coach, making his return to Georgia Southern, a former player and the coach before going to Stanford for a couple of years. But when Chad Lunsford was announced the head coach, one of the first people that he called was Victor Cabral to come back to Statesboro.
3rd down and 9 for South Alabama. Way split to the bottom of your screen. He's the best receiver in the Sun Belt Conference. And he's going to look for Way into coverage.
That's going to be a free play there for Evan North because Logan Hunt jumped the line of scrimmage.
I was going to say on the outside there. That was a pretty clear one. Felt that he could just do whatever he wanted there.
Five-yard penalty. 3rd down.
All right, no surprise in South Alabama, Danny gets a little bit of help.
Yeah, free play there for Orth. You know, no matter what you do, you're going to get 5 yards and another opportunity.
And a definite penalty disparity so far as well. That was only the 4th today for Georgia Southern. South Alabama has already committed 6. So turn this now into 3rd down and 3 for South Alabama. Orth will hand off. Minter's not going to get it, and up comes 4th down again. And a flag coming in from the near side 30.
Offside. Defense. Number 52. 5-yard penalty.
This time it's Quan
First
Griffin.
down.
So another Georgia Southern defensive end jumping the gun.
Yeah, pretty uncharacteristic, like we said in the first half, but in case you're just joining us at home, entering last week's game against Arkansas State, Georgia Southern was the 3rd least penalized team in the country. But so far here today, And last game against Arkansas State, they've been slipping on that front. Baker on first down, flags out of the backfield. That's going to be a false start, I believe.
False start. Number 70, 5 yards.
That's on the left tackle, Troy Thingstad, junior from Mobile, Alabama.
That's one of the cool things about South Alabama, Danny, is they have so many kids from Mobile on their team. And even more impressively, a lot of guys from the area who spurned bigger schools to play for the Jaguars. On 1st and 15, sweep to Baker. Nearly a first down as he's hustled out past the 40-yard line. Even just on their offense, you have guys like Davin Flanord, who is from the area, spurned big-time schools like Ole Miss. He chose South Alabama. There's Jalen Tolbert, an offensive receiver. He's from Mobile. He turned down Michigan State and Vanderbilt to play for South Alabama.
Well, you see the level of play increase while more teams have been jumping from FCS to FBS. You're seeing the rejuvenation of the Sun Belt Conference here this season.
2nd down and 3. Minter on the ground. Taken down by Moon. Didn't get it. 3rd down and short coming up.
And Josh Moon and Jay Bowdry there able to make the stop.
Well, it's kind of funny, Dan, when you look at the differences on the way these teams attack getting kids on their roster just the last 2 weeks. You see South Alabama, clearly a team that is committed to growing their players themselves, versus Arkansas State we saw last week here at Southern, who brought in so many transfers. 3rd and 1. Baker in motion, watch the sweep. Orth keeps it himself. Quarterback, first down, a gain of 6 yards, and that'll move the chains.
Well, if you're going to run the ball as a quarterback, you can't be afraid to get popped. And Orth got hit hard by Jay Bowdry, but nonetheless, was able to break a couple of tackles as well, follow his blockers, and was able to get the first down. Dodges 1, 2, about 3 other Eagle defenders before Bowdry sends him down.
Yeah, and even though it is just his first year as the main quarterback at South Alabama, certainly one of the more respected guys in the conference, and actually grew up just down the road from here in Jacksonville, but knowing his skill set was certainly never going to be a fit at a program quite like Georgia Southern. And Stanley's going to be wrapped up in the backfield, 49-yard line, loss on the play.
Great job by Randy Wade Jr. to force Stanley to catch Stanley in the backfield, and he had some trouble trying to find his way through. See there the attempted tackle, and then the ball went out as well, forcing Stanley to hurry up and recover it.
Orth trying to draw Georgia Southern offside here on 2nd down and 14, and it's not going to work. Play clock down to 5. A look downfield, out of the backfield for Moore. Crosses the 40. He'll still be about 5 yards short as that brings up 3rd down. And here's the thing, Danny. South Alabama has had no trouble today moving the ball. They just have not been able to connect on a big play. Easy as that.
Yeah, that and the interception and fumble that we saw in the first half.
Yeah, that too. 3rd down and 5. USA 4 for 10 on 3rd down so far today. Entering the game, they were one of the worst 3rd down conversion offenses in the league. Back to the ground. It's Minter. He's not going to get anywhere close. Ball is on the turf. Alabama says they have it. They do at the 39. That'll bring up 4th down.
So the linebackers right there playing to the left side of the field. And linebackers are able to run in and make the tackle.
South Alabama has already gone for it multiple times today on 4th down. They're going to do it again here. They are 8 for 14 this year on 4th down, and they're going to go for it again. They go for it on 4th more than any other team in the Sun Belt. And a South Alabama timeout, they're not going to risk it yet.
Timeout, South Alabama.
And that'll take us to a break here on ESPN3. A big 4th down attempt coming up for South Alabama. They can get back at the same game if they can convert, but Southern could easily put them away. Big fourth down attempt here for South Alabama. They are 1 for 1 today on fourth. Danny, what do you think?
Well, we've already seen two Georgia Southern defensive ends jump the line of scrimmage on this drive, so they may try to get in with the hard count because it's 4th and 5. If it doesn't work, they may try to go for a quick slant passing route.
Southern drops back into coverage. Orth has his pass knocked away. He was going for Stanley, and that's a turnover. And Danny, the Southern defense holds strong. We'll see this on the replay, but boy, it looked like they were going to bring the house on the blitz. The linebackers dropped into coverage, and Orth had nowhere to throw.
Well, they noticed that the majority of the times where Orth threw the ball in the first half, he was going across the middle. And the linebackers did a great job protecting the middle of the zone, and Sean Freeman almost getting an interception.
So this game is not in the coffin yet, but one more touchdown from Georgia Southern might start to put it that way.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Greg, it's 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. You
We
still
got
have a
time.
whole nother quarter
We
left
got
to play. And looking at some college football games earlier today, we've seen some comebacks.
On first down, the option, Monteo Garrett has been explosive on this play, and he will continue to be. That's a gain of over 25 yards as he's way down near the South Alabama 35.
And you got to appreciate why the receivers blocking for the running backs. Mark Mashad on the far side, you know, he was just as involved in that play, able to push out the cornerback and Travis Reed and give Garrett space for a big play.
And speaking of other college football games today, Danny, we just found out that Elon out of North Carolina beat James Madison. That's a heck of an upset. New first down. Shy on the keeper. He's got a big hole. The quarterback is going to try to do it himself. Wirtz is down to the 1 yard line. Man, Danny, he needs one block and he can do the rest.
Yeah, Mark Mashad once again being able to protect the outside, and Shai Wirtz, you know, almost thought he got it in the end zone for a touchdown, but nonetheless, we saw this back in the first half. We thought Wirtz scored, but he was just a yard short. And the next play took it to the house himself. And we can see that once again here, this next play.
Southern trying to begin to put South Alabama away. First down and goal. Shai will keep and get dragged down behind the line of scrimmage. Second down coming up. Danny, that was the exact same play they ran in the first half where Shai kept it himself and took it into the end zone. They thought, why change what works? Didn't work that time, buddy.
Well, we did a lot of plays in this option offense going towards the right side, and, you know, this time the defense was able to read it perfectly. Going in to make the tackle is Darian Mills, the senior from Winter Haven, Florida.
Second down and goal now from the 3. Here comes the option to Monteo Garrett. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe a gain of 1. Third down and short. And Danny, this is surprising. Georgia Southern is one of the best red zone teams in this part of the country.
Yeah, but South Alabama knows what the Eagles are going to do. They're going to run the ball more than anything. That's why they load the box on the inside, have a couple of outside linebackers, keeping an eye on the pitch, on the option. That's how they're able to take down Monteo Garrett.
So third down and goal from the 3. Shai Wirtz has a rushing touchdown, and Wesley Fields has a rushing touchdown as well. And a timeout on the field. This one's going to be called by Georgia Southern, and Chad Lunsford wants to draw up a play. And we're going to take the break with them here on ESPN 3. 2:32 to go in the third quarter, and Southern trying to draw up a play that'll put this game in the coffin. Two and a half minutes left to play here in the third quarter at the homecoming game at Georgia Southern. Eagles on top 24-6. And Danny, it's not done yet, but Georgia Southern down on the South Alabama 3-yard line for a big third down and goal. Shai Wirtz got him down to the 1, but the Jaguar defense has stopped them twice. What are we about to see here on third down, do you think?
Well, they stopped the run the first 2 downs. You got to go play action. A guy that I could possibly see get the ball could be Ellis Richardson or Cam Brown, the two tight ends that are currently in.
Darren Anderson split to the top of your screen. He's got a touchdown catch already. On 3rd and goal, Wirtz to throw, extending, end zone, knocked away, and Danny, you had it called. He was going for Richardson.
I was close. They got him on the out, on the rollout. I was just off. Instead of going play action, they go on a rollout. Richardson was going out towards the outside. If Wirtz would have threw it a little bit higher in the air, that would have been a touchdown for Richardson.
And just to be transparent with you folks at home, Danny knows so much about Georgia Southern football that he was predicting they would throw to Richardson during the entire commercial break. You had it, buddy.
Well, they want to get him involved. They only had one catch all year and missed a couple of games as well.
Here's Bass to make it 27-6. Sneaks that one through the left goalpost. So 27-6 is our score, and it's not done yet, Danny. In fact, here in the Savannah area, the best high school football game around here, it was 27-7. Savannah Christian was on top of Calvary. Calvary came back to make it a 3-point game. So we saw it right here in the area last night. Who says it couldn't happen here today?
Well, we also saw it this afternoon watching the Red River Shootout between Texas and Oklahoma.
Oh,
Texas
we sure did.
Had this game in the bag, had a 3-touchdown lead going into the 4th quarter. But Kyler Murray and the Oklahoma Sooner offense were able to score 3 touchdowns, took it down to the wire before Texas was able to kick a game-winning field goal to win 48-45. So there is still plenty of time for this South Alabama offense to move down the field, but they just have to stop the Georgia Southern offense while they're on defense. You can't allow too many big plays, which is what happened on this previous drive.
Absolutely right. South Alabama has moved the ball arguably as well as Georgia Southern for most of this game. But again, as we said, to begin the second half, as we get set to end the second half, Danny, same holds true. They're moving the ball. They just can't connect for a big play.
It's almost the same predicament that Arkansas State was in last week. They were able to move the ball. Justice Hanson had 375 yards passing in the air, but they just weren't able to score in the end zone.
And that is another testament to the Georgia Southern defensive philosophy under first-year defensive coordinator Scott Sloan. It's all about bend, don't break.
Yeah, they're willing to give up 5 or 6 yard plays. They just don't want to give up any big plays. And we haven't seen that from South Alabama throughout this whole entire afternoon.
So a new first down here for Evan Orth and the Jaguars. Play action near side to McCray. Keeps the play alive. Somehow manages to pick up about 5 yards there before he was pushed out of bounds. And what was it, Danny, that the defensive coordinator for Southern, Scott Sloan, said to us this week when we got to talk with the coordinators? He said, yards aren't what matters. Points is what matters.
Well, we're going to take a quick moment here as there's the injured player down the field. I believe that is Deshaun Cooper.
And they've got him on the sideline there.
There could be a lower body injury. That's another linebacker down for Georgia Southern.
And Danny, just for the folks at home, the Southern defense has looked like a mass unit at linebacker this year, taken through what we've seen.
Well, last week, Todd Bradley got hurt as he came in to start for Tamarcio Reese. Rashad Bird is out as well. Chris Harris Jr. was out last week, but defensive coordinator Scott Sloan talked about a next man up mentality that Chad Lunsford has been talking about through his whole entire team. So even though officially Tamarcio Reese and Chris Harris Jr. were listed as the starters, the second string, the third string, just about everybody has to be ready to step up here and contribute to the defense.
That's right. 2nd down and 5 now for the Jags. Back to the ground to Minter. Line collapsed on him. 3rd down coming up. Quan Griffin on the takedown. 3rd down and 3 coming up for South Alabama. 4 for 11 on 3rd down today. Tried to draw him offside, and it wasn't going to happen that time. Lunsford has already told his team to stop jumping and let him have it during halftime. On third down, Orth rolls and looks. Completes to McCray. Flag comes in. It looked like he got it by about a yard, but that might be holding on the offense, Danny. When you roll like that, it usually is.
Yeah, Blake Stanley was open on the far side. He was calling for it, had his hand up for Orth. I think it will be on South Alabama. See him already walking back.
Holding. Offense. 66. 10-yard
That's gonna be
penalty. Third down.
on the center, Brian Ankerson, sophomore from Decatur, Alabama.
And this one's going to hurt him. Third down and 13 coming up. Orth has been effective today, 14 for 22 passing, 137 yards.
Gotta make a big play here, go down the field.
Yeah, but no touchdowns, one interception. He'll try not to throw one here. He connects with Stanley. He's been everywhere today. He's got a first down past the 35-yard line. And Danny, he has been the pleasant surprise of the day for South Alabama.
Yeah, a guy that hasn't played all season, so he's got fresh legs going into this game, and he has contributed in a great way, replacing Sam Harris, who was out, didn't make the flight to Statesboro.
Well, one of the lines jumped that time.
It's going to be on the offense.
Yeah, it was South Alabama.
Ball start. Offense. Number 64. 5-yard penalty.
That was on the right tackle, Ryan Alexander.
That is the 9th penalty on South Alabama today, and now call it 75 yards against them. Southern more disciplined, 5 penalties, 35 yards. First and 15. Orth steps up. Turns that into a gain of 2 or 3 yards.
Good job by the Eagle secondary on the coverage, forcing Orth to make a play on his own and run the ball. Wise decision sliding on that one, getting a couple of yards.
End of the third
And that
quarter.
is the end of the third quarter here in Statesboro. Second down and 13 coming up on the other side here on ESPN3 for South Alabama. One more touchdown from Georgia. Southern could put this one in the books, but the Jags are driving and trying to keep it alive. Fourth quarter just about ready to get underway in Statesboro at homecoming weekend. The Eagle fans of all ages happy with how it's going so far, Danny. 27-6 with 15 to play.
Eagle fans and maybe some Eagle alumni as well as this homecoming here in Statesboro. A lot of former Eagle students and players coming back in the area.
Second down and long for South Alabama is going to go nowhere as Deontay Moore lost the ball, and Georgia Southern came up with it in their territory. And Tamarcio Reese back from injury, Danny, and he comes up with it. All the breaks have been going Southern's way today.
Yeah, you see here, ball slips out right before Maurice Mayo hits the ground, and there are 4 Eagles that went for the ball, and Tamarcio Reese smartly falls on it, and it's not the way to start the fourth here, South Alabama.
So this game not done yet, but 27-6 with 15 minutes left. The way Southern runs the clock on offense, every additional play Southern keeps possession is worse and worse for South Alabama. Starting the drive from South Alabama territory, Wesley Fields dives ahead of the 35, and he picks up about 4 yards that time.
And you got to think, Greg, if Georgia Southern runs 7 or 8 plays, regardless of if they move down the field or not, you take off a solid 3 or 4 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes off the clock.
Southern's running game, as you might expect, considering they are the number 6 rushing offense in the country, has been plenty potent today. They now have 3 different runners over 50 yards each today. Shy will keep. And take it inside the 20, spun down inside the 15, and Georgia Southern is back again in the South Alabama red zone.
And now, after Shotworks has gotten other teammates involved, you're going to see him start to take the ball for himself, moving it downfield, and I believe we have I thought it was a player down, but it seems like Jalen Thompson, the cornerback for South Alabama, should, I believe, possibly tying his shoe, or he might be hurt. Yep, he's down.
And that'll take us to a break here on ESPN3. Georgia Southern back in the Jaguar red zone and trying to put this one away. Georgia Southern dangerously close to putting this one away and back in the South Alabama red zone. 27-6 is our score. The Eagles this season 14 for 15 on scoring drives when they get into opposing teams' red zones. Out of the Maryland I to keep this drive going. On first down, they'll run the option. Wirtz sheds a tackle, spins inside the 10. He'll be brought down around the 7 as they end the play. Well, Danny, not only are they efficient in the red zone, 14 for 15 on scoring, on the 14 drives where they've scored, 13 have been touchdowns.
Well, they talk about a thing called winning the series. And if they take each series separately, they're able to get points on the board, and eventually, if you win each series and you win a majority of the series in the game, you're going to win the football game 9 times out of 10.
And that's the way Scott Sloan on defense views it as well for Southern. He says it isn't yards that matter, it's points that matter. Second down and 2 for Southern. Wirtz hands off to the young guy, Logan Wright. Gets stuffed up around the defensive line. The freshman out of Jacksonville.
That's the first time we've seen Logan Wright run the ball this evening.
And they're going to say he got back to the line of scrimmage and no more. Third down and 2 coming up as they send on to Wesley Kennedy and Cam Brown.
So to take out Logan Wright and Colby Ransom. You have Kennedy and Mashad on the left side of your screen.
Third down and short. Eagles, one of the best red zone teams in the Sun Belt. Fields down to the 4, and that'll move the chains. Georgia Southern nearly unstoppable in the red zone this year, and what a change from last year, Danny, where they were one of the worst in the conference.
Well, you got to remember, they didn't lose too many players on offense between last season and this season.
Almost none.
You know, these guys have had the experience of working together for a long period of time, and that helps building team chemistry going into the game.
So 4 plays to get it done for Georgia Southern. Wirtz on the keeper for the angle. It's his second rushing touchdown. It's his 8th of the season, and Georgia Southern is up 33-6 in the fourth quarter.
Another game where South Alabama has given up 30-plus points. Not the outcome that they wanted. Bass didn't take the extra point.
And when you book a homecoming game, Danny, in high school, in college, you book a team that you not only hope you can beat, that you think you can beat. And after the 52-0 win last year, you can see Georgia Southern probably made a pretty good choice today. Let's go ahead and take a look at the upcoming schedule, because here's the thing, Danny, it doesn't get easy.
Well, yeah, they've had the luxury of having 4 home games in the first half of the season, so now they have to prove themselves on the road. They have a Thursday night matchup against Texas State. Then they have App State and New Mexico State, and
App State also a Thursday night game.
Another Thursday night game, that one being at home. So it's going to be a tough task for Georgia Southern to truly prove themselves in the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah, after tonight, only 2 more home games and only 1 more Saturday home game. That App State game is the Thursday night Sun Belt game of the week on ESPNU. And then the last home game after that is Troy in early November.
And you know both teams are going to be watching App State take on Arkansas State this Tuesday.
That game's going to be a showdown, man. That's going to be good.
And also, a fun fact, it'll be Arkansas State's 1,000th game in program history. 999 was here in Statesboro last week.
I'll tell you, man, Tyler Bass is not giving them anything to work with today, Danny.
Not at all.
Okay, so the South Alabama team definitely down, maybe out. 34-6 is our score. And let's break down a little bit of what we have seen from them. Minter, Moore, and Mayo have all shown themselves to be effective runners. But here's the thing, Danny. When you look at their stats, they have really been unable, the vast majority of the time, to find Jamarius Way, their wide receiver.
I was about to say, that's one name that you did not mention, Greg. He has been pretty much absent in this game. Just one catch.
Yeah, one catch. Pass out of the backfield. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Not a whole lot more doing. Second down coming up. And it's funny because at the top of the broadcast, we said the matchup to watch today is Jamarius Way against the corner who's lining up against him for Southern, Monquavian Brinson. Whether it's been Monquavian or the defense as a whole, they have really shut down South Alabama's best weapon.
Yeah, Brinson has definitely won the battle here this afternoon, and as well, he has an interception back in the first quarter.
Second down and 7. To the ground, going nowhere. Maybe a gain of 1 on the play. Third coming up.
I'm sorry, but if I'm South Alabama, you got to pass the ball, move it down the field. You can't go for any more 2 or 3 yard running plays at the middle. You got to remember the last possession, they fumbled the ball.
It is, though, when you look at the math, this is a 4-touchdown game at this point. But we'll see what Evan Orth can do here. South Alabama 5 for 12 today on third down. Entering this game, they were the worst third down team on offense in the conference. Orth into the seam. He's got Baker. Big first down across the 50. But a flag back at the 20. I think we're going to see roughing the passer because Orth got absolutely drilled.
Yeah, great play made by Orth as well. He honestly had 2 guys up the middle along with Baker. He had Malik Stanley.
And we're talking about Jamarius Way, the leading receiver in the conference, the number 11 receiver in the country. Today held to 1 catch and 4 yards. And here's the referee.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 9. 15 yards into the run. First down, South Alabama.
And that adds on 15 more yards for South Alabama. Logan Hunt called for roughing the passer, and he is an aggressive defensive end. He was defensive player of the week last week, but he's made a couple mistakes. That's the second penalty, the second or third penalty called on him. Did jump the gun and was offsides in the third quarter. And now you had a roughing the passer call.
First down and 10 for the Jags. And down to the Southern 25-yard line. Trying to get into the end zone for the first time today. That one off the hands of Mayo. Flags come in, and we got a problem on the field.
That's going to be a late hit on Chris Harris Jr.
And he knows it.
After the play, personal foul, 32 defense, unnecessary roughness, half the distance to the goal, first down.
And despite the boos, Danny, that is exactly the right call.
Yeah, you got to stay composed in moments like that. I mean, if I'm him, I think he assumed that. I don't know what he assumed, to be honest with you, Greg. This is something you cannot do late in the game. Another penalty puts the Jaguars in the red zone.
South Alabama 1 for 1 in the Southern red zone today. Down to the 3-yard line. That play's not going to get into the end zone. But Jalen Tolbert makes his first catch of the day.
Second catch of the season. Redshirt freshman out of Mobile, another guy from around the area.
Yeah, he turned down Michigan State in Vandy to play for the Jaguars.
Second down, 1 yard to go to the 3-yard line.
Second and goal. Orth extends the play. He'll throw that one out of bounds. Third down coming up. Lockdown man-man coverage there by Southern.
You had 3 receivers on the right side. You had 2 of them showing a route in.
There's no intentional grounding on the play. The quarterback was outside the pocket, and the ball landed beyond the line of scrimmage. There is no grounding.
And then the slot receiver was running an out route. North was trying to find him, but he was chased out of the pocket.
All right, third down and goal for South Alabama. 1 for 1 in the red zone today, but that was just a field goal. Looking for their first touchdown. And they're not going to get it here. Minter to the 1 and then just came up short. This is going to be fourth down coming up for South Alabama.
Well, actually, I believe it'll be a first down, Greg.
Oh, was it a first?
It was 3rd and 1. And
yeah, you're right.
They were able to get the first down, but not able to get the touchdown.
So down to the 1 they go. Now first down and goal. Minter barrels into the end zone, and South Alabama will pick up their first touchdown of the day midway through the fourth quarter.
It took some time, and finally they find the end zone.
Too little, too late?
Somewhat. They're bringing out the kicking team. I'm actually surprised here. I would actually go for 2. At least I would. I would go for 2. You got nothing to lose at this point.
Well, Danny, you're a risk taker, my friend.
When you're down by 22 points, you got to take some risk.
(34-13) it is. Inside 9 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. Well, what will South Alabama do? It's a big deficit they've got to make up, and Southern really likes to run the ball and run the clock. We'll find out on the other end of this break on ESPN3. Well, Chad Lunsford, Danny, has to be one happy man. This win is going to put him over 500 as a head coach.
Yeah, he has to be pleased with the performance of his team. They've done a great job so far, minus a couple of penalties. But nonetheless, they have produced. It's been a great afternoon for the Eagles.
Yeah, really overall, he's got pretty much only things to be happy about. Kick down inside the 5, and here comes Wesley Kennedy. Here he goes. We've been saying all year that Kennedy's going to break one, but it's not going to happen here down to the South Alabama 35.
Nonetheless, he gets great field position here for the offense. Found some space and was able to take it about 50 or 60 yards. It just adds more to the performance that he's put on today and adds more to his total yards on the season.
Yeah, Wesley, the leading player in the Sun Belt Conference entering this week in all-purpose yards per game, and today's a good reason why. Couple catches, couple carries, kick returns, punt returns. He continues to be Mr. Do-It-All for the Eagles. So great field position on first down. Option keeper, Shy, ahead for 2 or 3 yards as he goes to the turf. And you know, Danny, there have been so many games already this year where Shy has been the savior, the hero. This game, I feel like he really incorporated his cast of characters very well.
Well, you know, he was able to run the ball a lot in this game. He's already got 2 touchdowns, and this time he's getting other running backs involved in the option.
Picked up a yard that time, second down and 9. This is Wright. Up to the 25-yard line. And the freshman out of Jacksonville with a physical run. Or rather, mistake, that was Monteo Garrett, my mistake.
Well, nonetheless, another running back getting a carry for Georgia Southern. Monteo Garrett has over 80 rushing yards
this is his best game of the season, no question.
For sure.
So what has made this his best game of the season? Was it something he did, or that they just got him involved more?
Well, as I said earlier, mainly he's been involved in the red zone. So you get him involved with open field, he's been able to make some big plays.
To Fields. Into open space. Touchdown, Southern! And Wesley Fields puts the nail in the coffin. It's his second rushing touchdown. And unfortunately, we do have a South Alabama player down and hurt at the 15-yard line as well.
And it's Jeffrey Watley, the junior from Midland City, Alabama. A lower body injury for him. Great play by Wesley Fields to score. Was able to break a couple tackles. Good blocking inside. And what a play made inside by Aaron Dowdell, giving Wesley Fields that opening. And the rest is just speed.
This will make it 41-13. Tyler Bass has been perfect today. And he still is. Danny, they've been giving him a workout.
This is the first time this season that Georgia Southern scored 40-plus points. So a great overall game for Georgia Southern. Now, South Alabama, they may be starting to think about next week, because we didn't talk about this, Greg, but this is the third straight road game for South Alabama. They finally returned home to take on Alabama State in the non-conference game. And then they had to focus on defeating their Western Division opponents like Arkansas State, along with Louisiana Monroe and Louisiana. But first, they have to face Troy. But nonetheless, they'll be at home for the next 2 weeks.
Well, the good news for them, and this is not any kind of slight at other teams in the Sun Belt Conference, but it is universally accepted that the Eastern Division is a much more brutal division this year. You have Georgia Southern, Georgia State, App State, and Troy. In the Eastern Division, the Western Division right now really just has Arkansas State.
Well, they're the favorites.
Yeah.
And Troy's the favorite in the East, but you know, some teams weren't expecting the emergence of Georgia Southern this year. You can't forget about Coastal Carolina in the East as well.
That is a team that is on the way up. Out of the back of the end zone. And that's the thing when you look at the Eastern Division of the Sun Belt, Danny, is right now people are looking at Coastal Carolina as the team they hope they can pick up a guaranteed win against. That's not going to be long, because Jamie Chadwell is their offensive coordinator, former head coach at Charleston Southern. He is the head coach in waiting at Coastal Carolina. Once he takes over there, that team is going to compete.
Well, you look at them, and you also look at Georgia State as a possible win, too, because, you know, you saw the scoreboard earlier. They lost this past week, a couple days ago, to Troy, 37-20.
Troy beat him up. All right, South Alabama back out on the field, down 41-13. Baker in motion. He almost fumbled it, able to keep hold of it and get 5 yards out of it.
Well, Baker kind of has been Mr. Everything for South Alabama. We talked about how he can be a runner, he can be a receiver. He's done a little bit of both here this afternoon.
Yeah, so far today, 3 catches, 80 yards. He's also run the ball 4 times now for about 20. On second down, Orth facing pressure into the seam, and it's intercepted. It's picked off by Kendrick Duncan. Oh, he dropped it as he came down.
Oh, no. That was almost a surefire interception there from Kendrick Duncan.
Oh, he had it in the breadbasket. Poor kid.
It may have just grazed the field before it reached his hands.
Well, now third down coming up for South Alabama. Let's see it again. Right call.
Yeah,
right call.
That one went just underneath his arms.
That was the right call. Third down and 6. Maybe Duncan will get another chance here. Orth will likely go to the air. And he will. Dumps it for Minter. And he's not going to get anywhere close. Gain of 2 on the play. Fourth down coming up And Chris Harris on the takedown.
I'm actually surprised that they're going to punt. I mean, I understand you don't have good field possession, but I guess to really sum it up, Greg, why?
I think your team's a little bit banged up, and you're on the road, and you're down 41-13, and I think you don't want to give Southern a chance to score again so quickly from the 30.
Timeout, South Alabama.
And the Jaguars will burn the timeout. And all right, Danny, what an interesting weekend it has been in the Sun Belt Conference. I feel like we learned quite a bit the other night when Troy beat Georgia State, and I feel like we continue to learn things about Georgia Southern. They beat their first true barometer test of the year in UMass a couple weeks ago. They upset, frankly, Arkansas State here last weekend, won by a touchdown. They took care of business against South Alabama tonight. Obviously, you never look too far down the schedule, but now I can't help but look myself towards App State.
Well, yeah, you can jump the gun and look at App State, but also you got to remember they have not really faced a conference opponent on the road. The only one road game they've had was against Clemson.
High kick, 30-yard line.
I mean, yes, you can look at Appalachian State, but you got to look at Texas State first. A Thursday night matchup in San Marcos on ESPNU.
Cross country. I mean, as far as cross countries, you go in the Sun Belt nowadays, now that Idaho's gone.
And New Mexico, even though they do play New Mexico after Texas State, they're out of the conference.
So that is certainly not an easy one. Cross country, Thursday nighter on TV. Believe me, Chad Lunsford's not going to look past that one.
And a short week.
Southern takes over on first down. Monteo Garrett gets end-over-ended. Ouch, big hit. Gets about 3 yards out of it. Thankfully, he pops up like he's okay.
Well, that's DJ Daniels, and you wonder why a player is so fired up when you're down by almost 30 points, but you got to remember, Daniels missed the first half because he was ejected from target against Appalachian State, so, he's just happy to be in the game and get some reps in.
Wants his licks, wants to hit somebody.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these South Alabama players have a bad taste in their mouth from last year. Unfortunately, that same taste is here tonight.
That's exactly right. Second down and 8 here for Southern. Wirtz on the keeper. Pitch on the option. Decent gain. Third down and short. Coming up as Matt LaRoche got the pitch. Gotta say, Danny, I'm happy to see him getting some looks. That is his fourth carry of the night, now over 10 yards, and he's been in even more than that.
Yeah, I think as of right now, you're not going to see Wesley Phillips for the rest of the game. That first down play with Monteo Garrett may be his last. It may be an opportunity now to have some other guys who haven't had many reps this season, like Logan Wright. Logan Wright and Matt LaRoche. Maybe we'll see CJ Wright as well. I haven't seen him today.
Third down and 5. Back up the middle to keep the clock going, but it's not going to be a first down for LaRoche. And as fourth comes up, Danny, what's interesting to me? Throughout fall camp and entering the beginning of the year, the coaching staff had been saying that the other freshman running back, Logan Wright, that he was the number 3 guy. All of a sudden today it looks like Matt LaRoche is the number 3 guy.
Well, there's different guys you can bring in there, and also you got to remember both of these guys are freshmen.
Right.
So these guys are going to more than likely lead the offense next season with Wesley Fields and Monteo Garrett being seniors. So start getting them ready early.
Eagles to kick it away here on fourth down and 1. And a flag all the way back at the opposing 20.
Offense, 84, 5 yards, fourth down.
And the clock ran out. And we'll do it again. That kick looked like someone got a finger on it. It'll bounce around the 28-yard line with 3:15 to go in this game. We will send it to one more break here on ESPN3 as South Alabama tries to put some last-minute points on the board in garbage time. The South Alabama Jaguars back on offense here in the fourth quarter, 3:15 to go, and Danny, Chad Lunsford is a happy man.
Yeah, happy man indeed, and now he's got to start looking forward to Thursday against Texas State. It's going to be a short week for the Eagles, so less time to prepare.
On first down, handoff to Mayo, breaks a tackle to the outside. Flag flies in from the secondary. Didn't get a first down, but let's see what that's going to be because we have flags in two spots.
Holding, offense, number 3, 10-yard penalty, replay. That's first down.
It has not been a great day for Jamarius Way, Greg, for sure. I mean, only one catch, 4 yards, now a holding penalty.
Yeah, and in case you're joining us and haven't heard us talk about Way so far, you would be amazed to know that he is the #1 receiver in the conference. He has 200 yards more than every Georgia Southern receiver combined. And yet today, just one catch. Another penalty.
False start.
Just more brutal breaks for this South Alabama team.
And Max Wright, the left guard from Homestead, Florida, called on the false start.
Staring down first down and 21 here. Back to the ground they go. Nothing's going to come of it. Second down and long, and this will take us down inside 2 minutes to play in this homecoming game. Danny, I would say Southern chose the right game for homecoming.
Yeah. And at the top of the broadcast, we talked about the one-on-one battle between Way and Monclavier and Brinson. Well, now we know Brinson won the battle.
On the top of the broadcast, we also mentioned that South Alabama said on Monday they were coming to Statesboro for revenge because of last year's 52-0 blowout and shutouts. Mission not accomplished for South Alabama today, though.
Well, at least they got 13 points on the board compared to last year.
That's true.
And you also have to remember, Greg, South Alabama has yet to defeat Georgia Southern since the Eagles have joined the Sun Belt in 2014. So this is now their 5th consecutive loss. Georgia Southern 5-0 against the Jaguars. Will be 5-0 after the next minute and a half.
And I got to tell you, because we follow the Sun Belt Conference in our jobs, Danny, individually, there was some worry around the conference this week. Hey, Georgia Southern just upset Arkansas State. Are they in for a down week? As the pass is intercepted. And run back for a touchdown. It's Alvin Ward Jr. And Georgia Southern continues to keep the foot on the gas. Danny, what was it last year that Chad Lunsford told his team at halftime against South Alabama?
It was don't let up. Keep your foot on the gas. Man, I can't remember exactly what he said. I had it written down. But nonetheless,
the last line was choke him out.
Choke him out. There you go. Nonetheless, Greg, we were seeing this performance resonate. It's a similar performance from last year. And, we talked to Coach Lunsford about that. We said the exact words and asked him about that game last year. And, he said the team has something to prove in that game.
And you know what, Danny? The big thing that I took talking to both sets of coaches this week was what Chad Lunsford said to us. He said, last week was our statement game. I want this week to be our edge game, to show that we did not lose our edge after we upset Arkansas State that we kept our edge against South Alabama, and they did that today.
And see Alvin Ward showing off the data turnover chain that the Eagles have. Here's the quote: "Don't let up, put your foot in their throat, choke them out." I know we said it a moment ago, but had to make sure I found the direct quote.
That's Big J journalism there, Danny. Well done, buddy. So 48-13 the score now, as South Alabama will get it back one more time with about a minute to play. And then a long road stretch for Southern. 2 weeks from now, they'll be back against App State at home on a Thursday. Well, this is the final Saturday home game until November 10th against Troy. And here comes Minter from the 1. Good return up to the 30-yard line.
Great job by Tyler Bass there, being able to go in and trip up Minter. You don't see that much where the kicker is involved. And you see a little bit of ovation for Bass. Even the kicker's getting some, Greg.
Everything seems to be breaking for Southern right today.
Offside, kicking team, number 16, personal foul, tripping, kicking team. That foul will be added to the end of the run. First down, South Alabama.
At least you got to appreciate the effort.
Chad looks slightly aggrieved, but when he looks at the scoreboard, he's not going to remember it. I will say, though, Danny, speaking of penalties, Chad Lunsford is going to be less happy than he was in previous efforts. 8 penalties today.
Well, that's one thing they're going to work on for Thursday. There's always something you can take away from this game you can improve on, and penalties is going to be one of them.
Cephas Johnson in at quarterback. Orth out of the game, and Johnson picks up a first down. So that'll be it for Orth. He will finish the game 19 for 30 through the air, just shy of 200 yards. One very important interception. Up the middle, that run won't go anywhere. 40 seconds, and we will see the game end here. Down inside 30 seconds. And we might see one more play go off here, but Danny, what a statement win for Georgia Southern, and just like Chad Lunsford wanted them to do, they kept their edge. And that'll be the end of it. Danny, they kept the edge.
Yeah, overall, a great win for Georgia Southern. It came out here, got the job done, dominated. They've been taking it one game at a time, and they've enjoyed the luxury of playing 4 of their first 5 games in Paulson Stadium, but now the true test begins for Georgia Southern. Can they get the same results on the road?
The power of Paulson is real. Georgia Southern wins in Paulson. Among all Division I FBS teams, they have the highest home winning percentage in the country. Danny, it's no lie.
Yeah, the power of Paulson is definitely real, and you saw it here firsthand tonight.
So 48-13 the final score, and Georgia Southern continues their ascent in the Sun Belt Conference. Up next, Texas State, and then the big rivalry game against App State. So for Danny Waugh, I'm Greg Talbot saying so long from Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, where the final score is 48-13. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a proud presentation of ESPN. Good night.